everyone. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. I am so glad you have taken time out of your busy lives to come and spend the afternoon with us. We want to say happy birthday to Meridian Township for 175 years. Also, we want to thank all the seniors for coming to our event, and we're just so excited for the afternoon. We do have some honorees here, and we have a program that we will be doing, so we'll get right at it. I'm going to introduce my director. His name is Keith Fisher, and he's the main man that runs this place, and we really appreciate all he does, and he's the one that allowed this to happen. So thanks, Keith.
Thank you. Hello, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Actually, as the executive director here, I often refer to myself as the chief bottle washer. We do a lot of things here. We provide a lot of services, and we appreciate you all coming out, seeing us, and celebrating the 175th anniversary of Meridian Township. So welcome. A couple of things. I want to thank our sponsors. Delta Retirement Center was one of our sponsors. We thank them. MedLodge, Senior Community Care of Michigan Pace, Tri-County Office on Aging. I know that they're here. Thank you very much. The Bookend, that's the Friends of Hazlitt Library, also sponsored. Thank you. Grace Hospice, of course, Meridian Township. Thank you very much. And our own beloved Kay White, who sponsored a table here for us. She's one of our residents. Where are you at, Kay? I'm going to point you out. There she is, right back here. Thank you all. So thank you to our sponsors. We have a few short words here. I come from a township back in Illinois. I did a little comparison, and we're kind of transplants. My family and I were here. I live in DeWitt Township, of course, work in Meridian Township. My township back home, the township building is approximately 20 by 30 feet. There are approximately 200 people in the township with 95 households. The voting booth and the township meeting hall, as well as the streets department, are all in a small pole barn out in the country. So you can imagine my surprise when I came up here to Michigan that it was quite a different story. There are quite a number of services for more people, more services, and in a responsive way. So being in the service industry, it's nice to serve within the township, which also serves. And so that's a compliment to us. We thank the township for all that they've done. It's a beautiful building, folks. We always say a beautiful building doesn't mean anything if you don't provide really good care and meet those expectations. So just wanted to give you that information. Also, 175 years ago, I don't think anybody was around back then, but it's interesting to see the development in the township. I was looking at some of the population numbers, and it's really incredible. And it's a very nice township, very clean. I saw one of the daily commuters the other morning chew out another driver because they flipped a cigarette butt out onto their streets. And I thought that's a good element of pride to the community, and it's really appreciated and it's recognized. So thank you all very much. Next up I have is Sherry here? Sherry? Sherry, come on up. This is Sherry Wisdom. She's from the Senior Center. She's the coordinator. She's the chief bottle washer over there. So welcome her, please. Thank you all.
Bottle washer. I'm way past those days, thank goodness. Okay, so I'm Sherry Wisdom. I'm the coordinator at the Meridian Senior Center, and over the past 9 years, I have been working as the coordinator at the Meridian Senior Center, and I've witnessed the plethora of benefits. Needs to go down? Oh, okay. And I've witnessed the plethora of benefits the Meridian Senior Center brings to the community and the people that we serve. In 1995, the Senior Center opened its doors at its current location inside Chippewa Middle School. The relationship we share with both the school district and Meridian Township is an integral part of what makes the Senior Center the thriving, beautiful center that it is today. Is there anyone here today who was part of the original committee 22 years ago in 1994 that was part of getting the Senior Center started? Show of hands, is there anybody here today that was part of the original committee that got the Senior Center started in Chippewa? No? Okay, so there's nobody here that's here today attending, but there are people out there in the community that community still that were part of that original goal of getting the senior center started. And even though they're not here today, let's acknowledge them and thank them, because if it wasn't for them, those pioneers and ambassadors, we would not be here today. Let us also give a big round of applause to Meridian Township for honoring not only the Meridian Senior Center, but all the older adults in our community as part of their 175th anniversary. I've been able to hear firsthand from written testimonials and everyday conversations the impact the Senior Center has and has had on our members. And I would like to share just a few excerpts of these testimonials with you today. Retirement. Retirement was anything but a happy time for me. I was lonely, isolated, and lacked purpose. After joining the Meridian Senior Center and becoming a volunteer, I became part of a whole new family, and it helped me to provide me with a purpose in life. For every walk of life. I have always been a very active person, and after retiring twice and raising 5 children, I've found myself with more time on my hands. I always knew about the Meridian Senior Center, but had never had time to check it out. But I am so glad I did. There are programs for every walk of life, and friendships are easily made. And the person who that quote came from is here today, actually. B, will you raise your hand? A place of our own. The Senior Center offers a caring community, a place to go to meet old friends and to make new ones. It's a place you can come and grow and stretch your body, your spirit, and your mind. It's a place where you are missed and checked on if you've not been around in a while. It's a clearinghouse for senior-related information. If all goes well, you will be a senior one day too, and I urge you to be part of the Meridian Senior Center. Thank you for all your time, and thank you for the support we receive from our members, the community, Okemos Public Schools, and Meridian Township. Enjoy your afternoon.
I said, I hope you're enjoying your food. Some of us are still in line, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce our keynote speaker today. I really appreciate, and I'm excited that he's came to our facility to talk today. So I would like to introduce you to the State Senator, Curtis Hertel, Jr.
Thank you very much for having me here to celebrate Meridian Township seniors and the wonderful work that Meridian Senior Center does for our community. I want to take a moment to thank the generous sponsors that have contributed to today's event. I also want to thank the township officials who are here, Supervisor Ron Stika, Treasurer Julie Brixey, Trustee Pat Jackson, our clerk, Brett Dreyfus. Did I miss anybody? Just want to make sure. No? All right, good. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you, our Meridian Township seniors, that make this community such a special place. We know that successful aging is more likely when individuals are actively engaged. Senior centers are often the most accessible and cost-effective place that offers programs and services to promote active lifestyles for older adults. The dedicated individuals who work, volunteer, and participate at the Senior Center embody their mission statement every day. We believe that staying active is key to physical and emotional well-being for everyone, especially older adults. The Meridian Senior Center was created to provide a friendly, welcoming atmosphere for persons age 55 and older. To gather and engage in programs and social activities, the Senior Center works to provide relevant programs and services to meet the ever-changing lifestyle needs for older persons throughout the community. This mission is incredibly important to making a positive way of life for seniors in our community. And it takes an incredible amount of work and dedicated individuals to run a fully functioning senior center. The goal of the Senior Center is to serve as a community's focal point for senior citizens and their families. It is to support the well-being of our residents as they age. Unfortunately, fully functioning senior centers continue to disappear throughout our state. With the help of staff here at Meridian Senior Center, specifically Sherry Wisdom, we have been advocating to restore funding for senior center staffing in our state budget. In 2007, state funding for senior centers was eliminated all across Michigan. Here in Meridian Township, we've been lucky. Those cuts have actually been picked up by members of our community, by sponsors, by the township, by leaders at the Okemos School Board. Ron Steica, before he was supervisor, was on the Okemos School Board when the initial investment was made for the Meridian Township Senior Center. But not all communities have been as lucky as we have been in Meridian Township. We have a lot of more work to do. Senior centers are incredibly important to restoring, and we must make restoring them a top priority. But we also have a lot of additional work to do in this state to support our citizens as they age. We have to stop taxing the pensions. We need to make sure that we keep our commitments to programs like Meals on Wheels that have been cut throughout the years. We must assure that we continue to fight against Alzheimer's disease. But it's not just important for us to talk about policy. It's also it's more important, I think, often to remember where we came from. You know, I think about myself, and where would I be if it wasn't for someone like my grandfather? You know, I come from a long line of public servants. My father served in the House, my Uncle Dennis served in Congress. But really, the first public servant in my family was my grandfather. My grandfather served in World War II. He was awarded the Purple Heart when he was shot fighting in Germany, shot with machine gun shrapnel. He was a cook, but of course, just because you're a cook doesn't mean they don't hand you a gun at some point. So he went and fought over in World War II, came back and ran a bar on the east side of Detroit, but decided that his life wasn't fulfilling enough and went back to school to become a teacher. And I talk every day to people whose lives he touched and changed because of that public service. Unfortunately, when he was in his 60s, my grandfather was a victim of Alzheimer's. I watched my grandmother take care of him, keep him at home the rest of his life, but was never really the same person. I remember one time him telling me that it was like living in a cloud, that some days he could see everything, but other days it was so hazy in front of him. Now, my brother just got elected to the State House, and my brother's 9 years younger than me. I remember my grandfather as a public servant. I remember my grandfather as a teacher. I remember him as one of the smartest men I ever met. My brother doesn't have those same memories. Because Alzheimer's doesn't just steal from our past, it also robs all of our futures. Because those people that could have had actual influence on our lives aren't able to because of this disease. Right now in Michigan, there are over 180,000 Michiganders living with Alzheimer's. My commitment as a state is that we need to put more money into the system. We need to be investing in research. We need to be investing to making sure those people's lives are better. Because we cannot forget where we started. I think the problem we have as a state, and we can talk about it in terms of policy or anything, or pension tax or anything, too often we forget those that came in front of us. The only reason why Michigan is strong is a foundation that was laid by people like you. And I want to thank you for everything you've done for our community. I want to thank you for making Michigan a great place. Thank you.
Can you hear me? How many have just started eating? Oh, a few. Okay. How many are done? All right. Well, hopefully I can help those who are already done digest their food, and those who are just starting can kind of ignore me and keep working. Okay. I'm Ron Steica, and I'm the Township Supervisor. I'm very pleased to be here. And I want to thank our Senator Curtis Hertel. You know, we are so lucky in Meridian Township to be represented by him in the state legislature. He is fantastic. He's been a great representative to this entire mid-Michigan area, to the people of Michigan. And again, I'd like to hear a little applause for Curtis Hertel. I happen to know his dad and uncle a little bit too, which he comes from a great tradition, as he mentioned in his little talk. I'm up here to give a couple of awards. And the first award I want to give, Meridian, as you heard many times during this year, is celebrating its 175th anniversary. And we have an employee here who we think was there in 1842. No, maybe not. Back when George Matthews was the first supervisor, I stand in his shoes. Anyway, Archie Virtue, why don't you come up here, Archie? Archie is a 57-year employee of the township. Wow. Yep, I say wow too. He started when he was 20 years old, and actually I knew him many years ago before I ever got involved with the township, because my neighbor across the street from me, who retired out of the township with like 25 years of service or something, Peter Wade, was a good friend of his, and I needed my garden tilled. And he says, I got a good friend who tills gardens in the evening after he works hard for the township, Archie Virtue. I'll give him your number. And he came over, and for years, Archie used to till my garden until his son took it over, and always appreciated that. So I've known Archie a long time, a lot longer than I've been involved with the township. But he was hired back in June of 1961 as a summer helper, and he helped put in the water main in front of Wardcliffe School, if you know where Wardcliffe School is, okay? And then he got hired later on in March of '62 full-time as a laborer, and he worked in putting in water services to homes throughout the township. When he first started, there were only 950 customers for water in Meridian Township, and today there are 13,000, so it tells you what's happened in our township. There was no sewers back in those days, just the water. But he helped put the water service into Indian Hills, Forest Hills, Hiawatha Park, and Chippewa Hills. So that gives you an idea of where he worked and how. He also was a volunteer fireman for the department back before we had a full-time fire department, including transporting people to the hospital when they needed it. He was an incredible worker for the township. In 1980, when the township decided we should put our meetings on TV and the cable channel, he did the first cable broadcasts. So Archie is a little bit of everything for this township. In 1971, he got promoted to be the superintendent of the water system, which he remained until 2001 when he supposedly retired. Now we know he didn't really retire, but he did. He retired. And he got hired back quickly in December that same year as a part-time engineering aide for the township, which he still serves at today, where he does things like water and sewer inspections and a lot of little things. Anything they need, they call on Archie. Archie, we have a little plaque for you, and want to thank you for many years of service.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything? We'll let Archie talk a little.
Talking a little, you better believe it. I've been very fortunate when I started, excuse me, when I started with the township, like all of you, or many of us, when we started, our main concern was doing a good job so we didn't get fired. As the years went by, I was lucky enough to realize I was in a township that appreciated good work, would chew you out if you did bad work. But the citizens of Meridian Township more than once would send us a letter complimenting a crew that did a fast main repair, made sure they had water, thawed out water lines, and this sort of work. And I always appreciated a community that not only chewed you out when you did not live up to expectations, but would give you some credit when you did good things. I thank you all for being part of my community, and I am part of yours.
Okay, now we come to some rather significant honorees. The Meridian Senior Center's got some members that have a few years on them. I've been a member since I was 55, and now I'm 70, so I've been a member for 15 years. But I think this next person, I don't know how long she's been, well, I do know how long she's been a member, only 5 years, but she certainly has a lot of experience and a wealth of background for all of us. Selma Hollander. Can you come on up, Selma? Is that possible? Selma is 100 years young. She was born in Brooklyn, New York. It still sounds like it if you listen to her. She was born on June 18th in 1917. She's lived in Meridian Township since '86, but she's lived in the area since 1958 when she came with her husband, who became a professor at Michigan State up here to the area. She was married to Stanley Hollander. That was that professor I mentioned. They got married in 1956 in Brooklyn at the Harry Belafonte nightclub. Now, I'm sure people here, because you're like me, a senior, you know who Harry Belafonte was. Fantastic. Anyway, they were married for 47 years. Very nice, very nice. They didn't have any children or grandchildren, but she considers the MSU community to be her family. And I think that's really neat, really neat. She does art now. She's become an artist, and she has an exhibit going on starting October 1st at the Wharton Center. So, it's not that hard to get there. Go on over to Wharton Center on October 1st, walk around the building, and you will see Selma's artworks. Selma, we want to give you a little certificate in honor of you being one of our most seniors, but that doesn't mean anything negative. And we put beauty before age, so you're getting yours first. She's 100 years old, Selma Hollander. Want to say anything, Selma?
Well, I've been here a lifetime. When I came here with my husband, my life opened up to all kinds of opportunities and experiences. And Michigan State is my home, my second home. I live on Hamilton Road. That's my first home. But the university is my second home. I have 2 degrees from Michigan State in art. I have a bachelor's in '62 and a master's in '65. But I never really considered myself an artist because my husband didn't want me to work. On our honeymoon, I was pushing 40, and he said, "You don't have to work." Well, that sounded stupid, but all the women were starting to work, all of a sudden having careers. But I figured, okay. Well, when we got home, immediately, we had to wait for our furniture. We were married a year, but we lived in Philadelphia because he had his doctorate from the Wharton Business School in Philadelphia. And he taught there for a year, and then he accepted a job at Michigan State University. So he accepted, and we came here, and we had to wait for our furniture. So we stayed at the Kellogg Center and for a whole week. And I immediately knew, although I was a New Yorker all my life in Brooklyn, this campus is just magnificent. It was even more beautiful then. When they put in the bicycle paths on campus, it broke my heart. I'm still sorry. I'm sorry that they're there. But I've been here since 1958, and that's a long, long, long time ago. And I've had a wonderful life, and most of it's been here. My whole life has been incredible. But when I moved here, of course, I had the university, and it was very different than being in Brooklyn. And I want to thank everybody that's here, and I appreciate you coming just to say hello to me. I'm so glad you made it to 100. People say, how did you manage to reach it, whatever? Well, of course, your health is important, and exercise, and be a lifetime learner. And the other thing is gratitude. Give back. That's what I was taught, to give back. And my husband and I have tried to give back to the community, as well as the university, also to the community. And I just want to thank you all.
Thank you, Selma. My grandparents came from Poland, and as a result, I was raised with the Polish heritage and a birthday song that we always sing. It's called Stolat, and it means long life, may you live 100 years. Well, we not only have one that made it to 100 years, we have two here that made it to 100 years, and we put beauty before age because he's 101. We have Richard Stewart. Richard, can you come up or not? Well, he's working his way. We'll talk a little bit about Richard. He was born on May 10th, 1916 in Monroe, not Michigan, Massachusetts. He lived in Meridian for 25 years, been a member of this senior center for 20 years, which means he goes back to the early years that Sherry Wisdom talked about. He was married in Virginia in 1941 and was married for 64 years. Yeah. Woo! He has two daughters and a son. Sarah, who's actually with us tonight, is here. She has some degrees, including a doctorate, I believe, from MSU. Carolyn, who came in from London to be here today, and a son, Richard, who couldn't be here, and 4 grandchildren. He was a teacher, eventually became a principal, served in World War II as a soldier, and because he was in what was the precursor of the CIA, the intelligence service, he ended up, when he got out of the service, going into the foreign service in the State Department, which is where he worked the rest of his career. His daughter, Sarah, lives in the area, and we thank her for helping get him here, as well as the other daughter, Carolyn. Would you like to say anything at all, Richard?
There isn't much that I can say. I've done a great many things with my life. Some people would say successfully. There were times during it when I didn't think I was so successful or so smart. I have done much foreign duty. I was in the beginning of our foreign intelligence. Prior to World War II, we had no foreign intelligence. We had the FBI, which of course did domestic intelligence. I got in on without, sort of inadvertently, I sort of fell into intelligence because I knew languages, and perhaps I was a little foolhardy. I did a number of operations during the war behind Japanese lines in Southeast Asia and survived. So I moved to Michigan after retiring and spending years in Virginia and North Carolina, but I came to a time when I needed to be near family, so I moved to be near Sarah, who was at the time working at Sparrow. I thank you all very much for having me here today, and to my daughters for managing to get me here.
Thank you, Richard, so much. Everyone, one more time. Okay, we now come to a rather big moment here at the Senior Tribute Brunch, and I'd like to invite up our Parks Director for Meridian Township, Luann Maisner, and our Township Board members that are here. We have our Treasurer, Julie Brixey, our Clerk, Brett Dreyfus, and one of our trustees, Pat Jackson, who also serves as my backup as pro tem, as the Supervisor pro tem, and they have a check to present, I believe.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today, and I would like to thank Deborah Guthrie, our Director of Communications. She's done an outstanding job of putting this event together, and like a big round of applause for Deborah. And also, I would love to thank our host here today. I think they've done a fabulous job for us here at the Willows, and a big round of applause for the Willows and their staff. Just a little bit about the Senior Center before we present the check is that it's a great partnership that Meridian Township and Okemos Public Schools has in providing the Senior Center. And it's funded through the school system. It's also funded through a millage that the community supports. And there's also a fund called the Activities Fund. And that's what funds, it really comes from when folks are participating in programs and they pay $5 to do this or $2 to do this. But what that does, it provides a fund for activities and special events and those kinds of things to happen at the Senior Center. And that's what makes it so much fun to go to the Senior Center for. And so this check that we'll be presenting today will be going into the Activities Fund to support all the members of the Meridian Senior Center. And so at this time, I would like to invite up Sherry Wisdom, who is the coordinator for the Senior Center, and Peggy Frisch, who is the chair of the advisory board. We do have an advisory board that makes up a representation of the folks there at the Senior Center. So it's not just Sherry or me or someone determining what would be best for the seniors. It's them telling us. It's the members saying, here's what we would like to see at the center. So it's really a partnership with our members, with the school district, with the community, and we just couldn't be happier. And I think we have another member of the Senior Center Advisory Board, Betsy Bricker? Yes, Betsy, come on up. I didn't see you over there. So I think we'll be presenting the check to you. And I don't know, and this woman right here probably looks very familiar to most of you because she is the hostess. She and her husband Ralph host the senior living event on home TV on Channel 21. So if you've never seen it, you need to tune in. Okay, so let's take a look. There has been a total of $1,800 raised at this event today that will be presented, that is being presented to the Meridian Senior Center for their activities fund.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And at this time, I don't know if any of the board members have anything they'd like to say, or are we all set?
I'll just say one thing, too.
Okay.
Hi, some of you may have seen me here. We do a voter registration drive every year with the Township Clerk's office. So next year we'll be back again, and anybody that has not registered, register to vote. Make your voices heard for next year's election. Thank you.
One more thing. Peggy, did you want to say anything? Yes. I thought so. I'm sorry.
We are very grateful to the Meridian Township and to the Okemos Public Schools for supporting the Senior Center. We know that we have the best senior center in the area. And lest we forget, people who come to us from Mason and Williamson and they tell us, you guys really have a great center here. And you have made it possible for that to continue. And we also realize that without Sherry, we wouldn't be half the organization that we are. She provides us with a number and variety of things to do, and multi-age. It's so important. If you just hang around with old people, pretty soon you're thinking you're old, and that is a mistake, okay? So, if you have some younger people to come in, that's great. Anyway, thanks so much for supporting us.
Well, as a representative of the Township Board, let me just say thank you, my own thank you to the staff. of the Senior Center and all the members of the Meridian Township Senior Center. Thank you very much for all you do for us, and hope to see you again here next year.
Well, thank you all so much. We'd like to cut the cake now. We have a Meridian Township birthday cake, and it's over there. We're going to cut that, and if you would like a piece of cake, please help yourself. The coffee bar is also there. And I can't thank all of you enough for coming. I can't thank our sponsors enough, the staff here at the Willows, all of my coworkers for giving 110%. I could not do these events. We could not pull these off without all the employees here. So if I can give them a round of applause, thank you very much. So happy birthday, Meridian Township, and have a wonderful day.